Today on an all-new Dr. Phil, their daughter relapsed after leaving rehab.
I would not give you access to her.
I don't think you're right.
They blame each other.
I'm not enabling her.
Ed has not changed.
It's Mom.
There are things you're doing that are contributing to her toxic behavior.
Probably.
There's not probably.
Versus Dad.
You did heroin. Where'd you get the money?
My dad. Almost every day.
You're lying.
How are you going to say that you didn't know that?
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
I try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
In 5, 4.
I am not giving up on you.
Go, Dr. Phil.
Pam and Ed last appeared on this stage. They were not on the same page at all, to say the least. In fact, they were at each other's throats, with Pam accusing Ed of enabling their 24-year-old daughter Andy's addiction to oxycodone. Pam claimed Ed was an alcoholic who gave Andy at least $200,000, which she used for drugs. Ed even arrived on stage with a black eye. He says he couldn't remember how he got it because he was so drunk the night before the show.
My daughter's currently addicted to oxycodone, and my ex-husband has been sabotaging her recovery by financially supporting her drug habit. Ed has spent about $200,000 for her to use on her drug for the last 8 years. Andy has been in about 6 different rehabs since she was 15. I can't understand how a father can do that to their children.
Pam, what's your goal here today?
To make this madness stop.
Here's what Pam's ex-husband Ed has to say for himself.
Andrea is the daughter from hell. I give her money because I know what's going to happen if I do not do it. She's either going to die of an overdose or she will probably end up with a pimp. I'm an enabler. I think there's a hell of a difference between being an enabler and a caring enabler.
Are you part of the problem?
Yes, I am part of the problem.
You took her to a drug house to get it. Don't
You would rather that she would go through those physical withdrawals?
I'd rather she be in rehab and you leave her alone.
What happened to your eye, by the way? You have a black eye.
I have a really
They've
bad
covered
black
it up
eye.
some, but you have a black eye.
I again, passed out.
Why did you pass out?
I have no idea.
You called me last night. You were drunk out of your mind.
Maybe that's what happened then.
You're killing your daughter.
What do I do? Tell me what to do.
Do you really want to know, or is this just a glib question? We have to understand, you're giving her that money to make yourself feel better, not to help her.
I think that's a crock of but I'll go along with it. All I want you to do is tell me what to do. How can I help my daughter? That's all I need to do.
She's smoking black tar heroin. She is playing Russian roulette and spinning the cylinder every time you give her money. That has to stop. Well, as you can see, things were really heated between Pam and Ed, and then when Andy joined the conversation, the accusations really started flying.
I was in a typical day. I call my dad and do you have like $20? Can you want $20 so I can bring it to the rehab? My dad gave me $30. I definitely feel better now. It's like a daily thing. I wish I could just wake up and feel normal.
So she calls you, gets the money, goes from there, gets the drugs, smokes them, gets high, and then calls you again.
It wasn't that I handed her $200,000 and said, here, go screw up your life.
Well, actually, kind of you did.
I kind of did, didn't I?
You told her you hope she overdoses and dies?
God, no. One of these days you would overdose and die.
When she calls you for money, do you call her a whore?
Is that a terrible thing to sell somebody?
Yes, that would be on the list of don't say. She may have been to 6 rehabs. I'm not going to be involved in number 7 if you two are not willing to do as much work while she's gone as she is while she is gone. Ben Levinson, he's the founder and CEO of Origin Recovery Centers, and we're going to have to do whatever has to be done. Are you willing to do this? After the taping, Andy went directly to Origins Recovery Center on South Padre Island in Texas, where counselors said she did well for the first 90 days. Then after spending some time in a sober living facility, Andy relapsed, which started a downward spiral. Now, ultimately, Andy had to move back in with one of her parents, and it just went from bad to worse.
I had nowhere else to go, so my only option was to go back home.
I let Andy come home, but I had some rules.
I had a curfew. If I drank again, she was going to cut off visitation with my daughter.
She was there for about 2 weeks. One night she got drunk and she didn't come home.
My mom kicked me out. I moved in my dad's place just because I had nowhere else to go.
This time, when Andy lived with me, I watched her like a hawk. Anytime I gave her money, I got the receipt. I was so adamant about knowing where every damn dime went. I'm not enabling her because I have learned my lesson.
Ed has not changed. It was like, here we go again, deja vu all over again.
My dad didn't have rules, but I did start drinking more. My dad gave me minimal amount of money. It was $20 a day, if that.
Moving in with her father was the worst thing that could happen to her.
I set her down, and I said, Andy, you're drinking way too damn much. You don't approve of it.
In order for me to get through this interview, I had to drink to get through it. I can't function right now.
A few weeks ago, Andy texted me and told me that she was going to move to another state to be with a family friend, and I don't know if she's doing drugs.
I knew that if I stayed there, my drinking was going to get worse.
My greatest fear is that she will die, and there's nothing I can do to stop it.
Well, Ed blames one person for Andy's relapse, and it's frankly not Andy.
I blame Pam for Andy's relapse. Pam is the coldest woman I've ever met. I wouldn't call her a bitch. She is a bitch.
He is a pathological liar. He is a narcissist. He is the king of manipulation.
Pam did not sympathize with Andy after she returned home from treatment. Pam's rules were entirely too strict. She's too harsh. And not set rules down like she's 15, 16 years old anymore. You know, you can't go out at night, or you can't spend the night out. She's 25 years old almost.
I find that laughable. That goes to show how out of touch he is with her recovery plan and what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do.
Under Pam's rules, I'm not surprised at all that Andy started drinking.
It's just absurd. The rules that I set for her, they were no different than when she was in rehab.
I believe when Andy got out of treatment that you should sympathize with her a bit. Not baby her, be understanding that she's in a delicate place. Pam needs to be more sensitive. Andy was in a healing process. Don't belittle her. Don't criticize her.
If there's any person to blame, that would be Andy. And I believe that Andy would agree.
Pam needs to not be so strict. It would help if Pam would lighten up.
Let me tell you why I agreed to have y'all back. I agreed to have you back because my philosophy is you never surrender to the disease. That's why I agreed to have you back. What do you think needs to happen?
Well, obviously, Andy needs to go back into rehab. She has to find her way. I really think that based on my experience with her in this last treatment facility, that we still haven't quite reached that core of whatever it is that drives her to not work her program.
But you don't have all the answers.
I don't have all the answers. No, and I don't.
You don't have all the answers.
No, we've got very few of them.
I do think it's a process. I think it's a layered process.
Yes.
I think it is a family dynamic. And during their last appearance on the show, I gave Pam and Ed very specific instructions on what their next step should be and suggested that they read Dr. Frank Lawless's book, Not My Child. You would think that they would follow my advice and do everything in their power to help their daughter's process, right? Well, did they? Take a look. This book is going to be required reading for the two of you. And when I say required reading, I mean test.
Dr. Phil wanted Ed and I to each read Dr. Lawless's new book called Not My Child.
When I was given the book a year ago, I didn't really read it cover to cover.
I read the book a year ago, but I didn't read it cover to cover because it hit a chapter, it felt like it didn't apply to me, then I would move on to the next chapter.
Knowing that I'm coming back on the show, yes, I have read the book. I'm about halfway through. Not just read the book, studied the book a bit.
What I learned from the book. Now think about that. You might have to come back to that. What did I learn from the book?
Well, I'll give her some more time to think about that, because we're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to find out what Ed said that is really, I think, more outrageous about his daughter than anything he said so far. And that's saying a lot. So you're going to want to know what it is. And then I've got some questions for the two of them. Andy's here. I'm not even almost ready to talk to her. I'm not sure that I even will talk to her today. I don't know that we will get that far. Stick around. We'll be right back. Are you still drinking?
No.
So you're telling me you're...
I occasionally will drink a beer. Have I drank too much?
Man, you are like nailing Jell-O to the wall.
I don't think Andy is a full-blown addict. I don't. I don't think Andy's a full-blown alcoholic, because she can stop herself and do her drug of choice. This is going to sound stupid, too. Maybe I am this dumb. When she did meth, she would get skinny, and her complexion would go bad. I'd bring that to her attention. Andy, what are you doing? Why are you so damn skinny? Then she did Oxycontin because it didn't affect her complexion quite so bad. It didn't affect her weight. I feel like she's not the hardcore addict that she portrays herself to be.
That was Ed talking about his feelings regarding his daughter Andy's addiction. I sent Andy to rehab at Origins when they came on the show last season because she was smoking oxycodone. Now, you just said, I don't really think she's that bad. You think she does a lot of this for attention?
To a point, yes. I believe she's an addict. Yes, I believe that she's an alcoholic. But I believe that there is a deeper problem. What causes her to continue to do it?
I think what you said is there some pathology that coexists with her addiction? Is she also mentally ill? Does she have something wrong with her that keeps her relapsing time and time again? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yes. That's why I put her in a dual diagnosis treatment center last time instead of a straight addiction program.
But are you perfectly aware of the fact? I had no knowledge of any of that because I am not on the medical records where I can talk to my daughter when she's in rehab. Pardon me? Was I on her medical record where I could talk to her while she was in rehab? Simple question, yes or no.
Listen, once I send these folks, make a referral to rehab, I step back and stay out of it. I don't get involved in the rehab whatsoever. But I can tell you, if I was involved in her rehab, which I was not, I would not give you access to her while she was there unless it was under my direction.
Access to what she's doing.
I would not give you access to the records. I would not give you access to her. I would not give you access to communications with her unless I was in the room. If I was running that rehab program, I can tell you that. I don't know what they did. I can tell you what I would have done.
I came on your show before, and you told me that I was doing this out of guilt. That was like getting punched in the stomach, because you were right. And I'll go along with that, but I don't think you're right now. Why should Pam have access and not me?
I think you're very toxic for her. I think you are an alcoholic. I think you are not making a concerted effort to modify your life, and therefore I think your thinking is still such that you enable her. Are you, since she has come back to your house after being at Origins, continuing to give her money?
I continue to give her one. Yeah, she went out to lunch with a girlfriend.
You said you give her money and you get receipts, so you know that she's not spending the money on drugs. We asked you for those receipts. Did you give us any?
I didn't give her any money except twice. Did I
Well,
buy her a coat? Yes.
Actually, you told us you gave her $20 on 5 different occasions.
That's possible. Are you counting Saturday night here, too? So that would be 4 times that she was
That would
with
be
me.
6, because at the time we did the interview, it was 5. That was before Saturday.
It's possible, I guess. But the point is, I didn't give her $50, $100. I didn't give her $500.
Are you still drinking?
No. Surprise?
You told us you stopped drinking whiskey and started drinking beer.
That is not what I told them. No, I really never drink whiskey. The night before the show, I drank a lot of whiskey. I didn't fall down. Nobody gave me a black eye. I had to fight for it.
You got in a fight?
Story number 4 now.
Did your mouth get you in a fight?
Well, I think we can pretty much rely on that. I'm not bashful. However,
So you're telling
I
me you're...
occasionally will drink a beer. Have I drank too much since I
Man,
did
you are
this
like
show? No.
nailing Jell-O to the wall.
I know.
I say, do you drink? Are you drinking? You said, no, I'm not drinking. And I say, well, you told us you were drinking beer, not whiskey. No, I didn't tell you that. I don't drink whiskey. And he said, well, I drank whiskey the night before the show because I got in a fight and got punched in the eye because I got a big mouth. And he said, well, but then I do drink some beer. But then you said you didn't drink, or then you said you do. And he said, I don't drink whiskey, but then I did. I mean, you contradict yourself. You're not
When
even
you
a
say
good
an
liar.
alcoholic, I think drinking in excess. Will I have a beer occasionally? Absolutely. Yes. Have I drank too many beers since I did this show in one night? No. No. Are we going to glare at each other
No, I'm
all
waiting for
day?
you to contradict yourself. It's just...
Oh, no, I'm listening.
It's just a matter of time. I mean, in a matter of time, you're going to say, well, except for the 4 times that I did. I mean, come on. Listen, this is not about you and me. Because I'm here about Andy. I'm not here about showing that I can out-talk you. I am here about getting Andy some traction in her life. That's all I care about. If you're happy with what you're doing...
Well, don't put words in my mouth. I never said I was happy.
I'm not putting
never
words
said
in your
that
mouth.
knew
I don't
it
care
all.
what you say or don't say. Based on results, the 2 of you hadn't got any more idea than a goose how to get your daughter sober. Because if you did, she would be.
Okay, wait. Dr. Phil, I
agree with.
I have worked very hard to do my part in, as a parent of an addict, in learning what to do and what not to do.
Based on
have to
results,
do my part.
how are you doing? Based on results.
I'm doing much better than I was a year or 2 years ago, for sure. Absolutely. I have reached out to every resource that is available to me so that I can educate myself and learn what to do and not to do for Andy.
I'm going to promise you there's stuff you don't know about this. There are things you're doing in the dynamic with him that are contributing to her toxic behavior.
Probably.
There's not probably.
Okay.
I'm just telling you. You asked
Okay.
me, so I'm telling you.
Okay.
You've got to take a different approach to it. If you do the same thing over and over and over and she keeps going to the same spot, you got to take a different approach. You got to do
understand
something
that.
different.
I understand that.
And again, listen, I'm not here to argue with you. It's not my daughter. If you're happy with what you're doing,
Well, don't put words in my mouth. I never said I was happy.
I'm not
I
putting
never
words
said
in your
that
mouth.
knew
I don't
it
care
all.
what you say or don't say. I want your daughter to get sober and get traction and
my
become a
daughter.
meaningful, contributing member of this society. Become a mother that shepherds her daughter.
They can't even match the music. They can't even rap, they're just black producers. Now they wanna crack the new shit. They just wanna act, they done bath the new kids. They can't even match the music. They can't even rap, they're just black producers. They just wanna crack the new shit. They just wanna act, they done bath the new kids. Sorry big man, with your big life and your kick man. Sorry big man, with your big life and your whip man. Sorry.
This disease is nuts. I mean, it brings the whole family to a place of insanity. I'm just trying to find sanity for Andy and for I'm divorced from him. He's out of the picture.
Unfortunately, he's not.
Well, but Andy has to learn how to deal with that. I don't have to learn how to deal with that.
Yes, you do. That's what I'm telling you. Where does she go when you kick her out?
Toxic Ed.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
When she leaves your house, where does she go?
She goes to Ed's.
Okay, so he's not out of your life. You say, I've divorced him. He's gone. He's out of it. No, he's not. He is a major player in your daughter's life.
Yes, he is.
So how can you say, he's gone, I don't care about him, but he's gone. But.
I say that from the position that I don't have to co-parent with him. No, you don't understand.
I read what you said in your interview. Dr. Phil said that I should co-parent with Ed. That's because he doesn't understand how abusive and toxic he is towards me and towards these children. And if he did, he wouldn't say that. But I didn't go into all that because I didn't want it to be about all of that. I wanted it to be about her. So in his defense, I didn't tell him all that, so he didn't have all the information. So therefore, he said that based on misinformation or lack of information when he says that I need to co-parent with Ed. I read everything. I know everything, and I just gave it back to you pretty much verbatim. And I'm telling you, you do have to co-parent with him, even if it is just to manage his toxicity.
You can't even get through a conversation with him. How do you expect me to?
I'm not saying you guys need to be fast friends. I'm saying he is a reality.
But you can't even have dialogue with him, because like you said, it's like nailing Jell-O to a wall. Show me how it's done.
But he is a reality in your daughter's life,
He
correct?
is a reality.
And you do have to deal with that. If you're dealing with your daughter, he comes with the territory, correct?
He comes with the territory.
I had something to do with it, in other words. I don't understand why you go where you go anyway. You didn't divorce me, I divorced you. And the reason I did that was simple. The constant criticism. Leave it alone at that. It's not about me, it's not about Pam, it's about our daughter. If I am toxic, did I not call you 2 weeks ago and tell you if I am definitely that big of a problem, I will relocate, and that was it. Did I not do that?
Where'd you go?
I'm in on a permanent basis, you know that.
Where'd you go?
Dr. Phil, I don't know what to do for my daughter. Quite frankly, I don't. I've tried different things. I don't know.
If you can teach me how to, you got to teach me how to do that. I want to see you do it. Teach me.
All right. I am teaching you. I'm getting you to accept the reality that whether you like it or whether you don't, just pronouncing that he's no longer a factor, that you're over him, that he's just not something you need to deal with, that you're past him, divorced, it's over, it's gone. He does have to be managed. I mean, if you had a fungus on your foot, you would have to manage it, right?
By whom? Who's supposed to manage him?
You have to manage him to the extent that he impacts you. You have to manage him to the extent that he impacts your efforts to coalesce with your daughter and move her in the right direction. If you had a stalker, you would have to manage the stalker.
I do manage. My way of managing him is to not discuss with him, because he will say one thing and do another. You called and asked me for advice, and I asked you those questions. And
well, Andy is here today. In fact, she is the one that wrote me asking for more help. We're going to find out who she says is to blame for her relapse. We'll talk about that when we come back.
When I was living with my dad, I was drinking almost every night. One night, I was drunk. My friend persuaded me to drive his car. I crashed his car, broke off his bumper, and woke up in the middle of the street.
Andy says she spent 90 days at Origins, where she blossomed into a responsible, sober woman. But after a month of sober living, following rehab, Andy relapsed and had to move back in with her parents. That's when things really got out of control.
When I was living with my dad, I relapsed on heroin. I started shooting heroin. I was drinking almost every night. I was shooting heroin almost 3-4 nights a week. It wasn't my mom's fault. It wasn't my dad's fault. It was my fault. One night I was drunk. My friend persuaded me to drive his car. I crashed his car, broke off his bumper, and woke up in the middle of the street. I don't know why I don't have a DUI. I have no idea. I love heroin. Last time I shot heroin was about 2 weeks ago. Do I want it? Yes, I really want it. I'm fine without heroin. I'm drinking. It's fine. The last time I drank was like 30 minutes ago. I can't be a normal person without this. I can't talk to you. I can't tell you what the hell is going on with me. Like, I just can't. Just can't. 2 weeks ago, I decided to call Dr. Phil for help. This sucks. I'm 24 years old and I don't know what the hell is wrong with me. Like, I've been through AA, I've been through 8 treatment centers. I just want to know what's going on. Why is this happening again?
Well, what is going on, in your opinion, right now with you? What do you think is driving you right now?
I mean, really, I don't know, but I think I'm just really depressed. I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know how to get better. I was better for a while, and then it just got a lot worse.
A lot worse in what way?
It just spun out of control. I started doing harder drugs. I was drinking all the time.
And when you say harder drugs, what do you mean?
Like heroin.
And when was the last time you did heroin?
2 weeks ago.
And where'd you get the money?
My dad.
Well, he says he got receipts from you every time, kept them, nailed them down, so he knew that you weren't using the money for drugs.
No, that's not true.
I miss getting a receipt from you. I remember that occasion when you went to lunch.
I never gave you receipts.
Ever?
There was never any receipts.
How many times did I give you money when you were with me? For what, 2 weeks?
Like, almost every day.
Every day? No. I'm talking about, like, to go to lunch, $20. And you bought heroin with the $20 I gave you to go to lunch.
Yeah.
But you're saying that I did this 5 times. If you ask me a silly...
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
She didn't say you did this 5 times. She said you did it every day.
Almost. There was sometimes a couple days where you didn't.
Well, then that's not every day. And
But
how long were you with me?
every day.
Well, no, but that's not the point, Andy. You're saying that I gave you money every day.
That's my point.
I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
I know what I'm doing here.
I would go drink every single night, and I'd get money from you.
Yes, you can manipulate me. Very easy to do. I love you. From the bottom of my heart. But you're lying. I will provide you with adequate food, shelter, and clothing. But don't expect anything from me beyond that. And no matter how this turns out, I will never, because you're lying. I didn't give you money every day. And in your own words, maybe a couple of days I didn't. Well, we were only together 2 weeks. I'm tired of being the ass out of this whole damn thing.
Do you think you are helping or hindering her in her efforts to control this addiction?
Hindering. It's becoming quite obvious.
Now, hold on.
I won't say a word.
Hold on. And I'm not talking about your intention. I'm talking about the result. The result is, whether it's once, 5 times, 8 times, whatever, she is telling you that if you give her money, it's going in her arm, or it's going up her nose, or she's going to go drink herself to oblivion. Now, we know she does that.
I hadn't used until I'd moved back to my dad's.
All right, just a couple of weeks ago, Andy moved across the country to be with her new boyfriend, Isaiah, who she says buys alcohol, and drinks with her. Well, we'll talk about that when we come back.
I did have to stop supervised visits because Andy had confessed to me that she drank. For me to allow visitation to occur would have been enabling her, and I couldn't let that happen.
I want my daughter. I just miss her, like, telling me about her week and
Pam uses my granddaughter as a pawn to get Andy to do what they wants her to do. That's wrong.
All I'm trying to do is protect both my girls, my daughter and my granddaughter, period.
this may be my last chance because I don't have any other options. If I don't get help now, I want to see where my life's going to be at, like, months down the road.
If Andy doesn't get this under control right now, Andy will die.
I choose not to live in fear. I choose to have hope and faith in her that she will find recovery again and stay there.
You know, I take the long view of things. Like I said, you can't surrender. And I put together something that is not completely accurate, and so much so that I didn't really worry a lot about specifics of time. This is kind of your linear life here. You know, we take a look at this, and you've been to rehab 8 times, okay? And, you know, your dad's point, and this is a good one, there's got to be something that we're missing here. Because you get 8 times, you'd think you'd make a little progress somewhere. Pam, you spent over $40,000 on this sort of thing, and then the state has spent the rest. You say Ed has given her $200,000 to support her addiction. He debates the math. I don't care about the math. And Andy, you've lost custody of your daughter. You're only allowed supervised visits, so the stakes are very high for you in this game. You've done everything you can. You've manipulated drug tests. You tell us that yourself. You've manipulated drug tests. You've been in abusive relationships. That's not working for you. You've been to jail for DUI. You served 9 months for running into a city bus. You got money from your dad. You said you gave him $700 from a laptop you sold for drugs. You said you've actually stolen from stores to get drug money. Stolen husband's checks to pay dealers because you were afraid what was going to happen to you. I mean, if you look at what's going on here, there's just a decline here.
But I'm back to where we were originally. Only this time, I thought I'd covered myself, and God knows I didn't, and I cannot believe it. I cannot believe that you would lie to me like that and do that when it was something so simple. No, you didn't lie to me. I lied to myself. I trusted you.
I mean, you knew you were giving me money to drink.
You're lying. I didn't give you money every day, and I damn sure didn't know you were drinking.
You knew I was going out and drinking. How are you going to say that you didn't know that? I don't.
Okay, Andy, I don't want, please. That's enough. No more, okay? No more.
I mean, you can't really do that. We're trying to, like, fix this. You can't just say, like, not anymore. You can't do that.
No, Andy, I'm not listening to you anymore.
Why are you not going to listen to me?
That's not what I'm not listening.
Telling you what happened?
Here's the thing. Look, you've moved across the country now, and you're staying with a friend. Does he know that you have these issues?
Yes, he knows, but he doesn't, like, understand it. I just don't think he understands it.
Isaiah, what has been your experience with Andy in the time that she's been with you?
I have seen her get drunk, correct. She has not used drugs here. Granted, yet I'm at fault for giving her the alcohol.
If you care about her and want her to do well, this is someone that, in my opinion, will never, ever in her life be able to drink socially, be able to have any kind of interaction with alcohol ever in the rest of her life. And to ever buy her a drink, a beer, casually or otherwise, would be to really sabotage her health and well-being. So if you're around her, please be part of the solution and not part of the problem.
Too easy, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, Isaiah. All right, Andy's parents clearly play a role in their daughter's life. I'm going to tell them exactly what I think each of them needs to do to maximize the chance of her having a shot, a real shot, at getting clean and sober in a lasting way. I'm going to put verbs in my sentences. I'm going to be very specific after the break. You have a dysfunctional relationship with your mother. She puts down reasonable rules and guidelines, and you rebel against them. There's a dynamic going on there that needs to be unraveled and diffused. I don't know everything about what that is, but I know it doesn't work for your recovery. You have a relationship with your father that is toxic. And I'm not here to throw you under the bus. You might fit nicely, but I'm not here to throw you under the bus. I believe you are an alcoholic, and I think unless and until you get that under control, you're not ever going to have a clear perspective of what she's dealing with and the ability to help her. I think that you don't even need to respond to that. I'm just telling you what I think. That's my assessment. And here's the deal. I think you're a follower. I think when you go into rehab and you're around people that are like-minded and they're all about sobriety and they're all about getting things headed in the right direction, I think you fall in lockstep, and I think you do very well. And then I think when you move to the next phase and there's less structure, then I think you start looking around and trying to figure out how you can expand your world, because I think you are very immature. I think socially, mentally, emotionally, developmentally, you kind of got fixed at around 13, 14 years of age because of your drug use. And so I think your ability to pump the brake and tell yourself that you need delayed gratification is really bad.
International. Girl, what's your name? I have to know. Ain't no one else in your lane. Let's fill this car with gas and go. No hesitation, I'm on it. If that's the way that you want it, that's cool with me, so let's ride. Let's go somewhere that you lie.
I think you have impulse control disorder, and I just don't think you have an ability to tell yourself no. And so it does look a long way up from where you are, and that leads to depression and anxiety, which you medicate with your drugs. It's great to escape all of that instead of deal with it. And I think until you face that and deal with it and realize that you're going to have to dig your way out of this a step at a time, you're not ever going to get better. You can get sober, but being a white-knuckle sober is not really being sober. You've got to truly have some peace in your life. And you're not ever, in my opinion, going to have a chance to do that if you ever return to her house or his house or to that town again. Okay, let me just get straight to the point here. I am willing to hit the reset button with you. I am willing to put you back into treatment. But I am telling you that we are going to do this in a different way, and we are going to focus very, very heavily on your mental and emotional state while you're going through this. You're going to have to deal with the depression. You're going to have to deal with the anxiety. And I am going to seriously recommend that they put you on lockdown from these two for an extended period of time.
I mean, how am I just supposed to not talk to my parents? Like, I mean, it's not that. It's just it's hard for me to separate from them. They're my parents. Like, I love them.
Yeah. Andy, we love you too, but I think exactly the summary was best. That's what needs to happen. No matter how hard I think I try, I'm toxic for you. I allow you to do too much. I'm toxic for you. I don't care what your mom does, whether you blames or anything else. I'm not good for you right now.
I'm hitting the reset button. I'm going to give you another shot at this. It's time to grow up.
I'd like to get out from underneath the bus. Listen to this gentleman. Do what he's telling you to do. I'm not making a joke.
This isn't a joke. Like,
it's
this is
not
serious.
A joke. I just said that. Listen to him. He knows what he's doing. I sure as hell don't. I don't think your mother does either.
There are different stages of readiness for people to change. Like stage 1 is like court ordered, not good prognosis.
No.
Stage 2 is like somebody that loves me wants me to. I'm doing it to make them happy. Stage 3 is like I know I need to. I mean, in my head, I know I need to. And stage 4, and somebody says, I am so sick to death of this that I won't put up with it for another second. I'm changing this. I don't give a damn how hard it is, how scary it is. By the grace of God, I am changing this.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to be like this.
And I do believe that's where you are. Let's make a change here. Do you? To weigh in on today's show, log on to drphil.com and share your thoughts on our message boards, or you can use the hashtag #DrPhil. I want to thank my guest today. A special thanks to Dr. Lawless. He is the author of Not My Child. This book is a must for parents dealing with their drug-addicted children. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much.